Love thinks not just momentarily, it thinks long term. It thinks about the impact and the consequences of my actions. It thinks about the benefits and the drawbacks of what I do here. Not that we can know everything, but it says if I don't do this, what could the benefit to be to someone in the future?
Welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Ash Couchman, and I cannot wait to find moments of joy with you today. I am so excited to be diving into the Word of God together today. Let's jump into the conversation. Okay, welcome back to the podcast.
Hello. I can't believe it's Friday already.
I know. I think you are a woman of so many talents. And not in the sense that, like, you know, sometimes people go, oh, you can't do it all. You really can do it all, Kate. I don't think I've met someone who is so proficient in so many areas of life. It's actually quite embarrassing to me. Not because of you, because I have no skills that match your talents.
I call myself a Jill of all trades. I know
a Jill.
A Jill.
A Jill.
Instead of a jack of all trades.
I was like,
Jill.
A Jill?
A Jill.
What does that mean?
A Jill, a female version of
Love
Jack.
it.
Jill of all trades. I really love to know why. So I'm constantly Googling. I'm asking questions. If I'm interested in something, I read up about it. It's part of one of my strengths is I'm a learner. So I love to discover how and why. And so because of that, I learn how to do lots of things and I figure it out and I try a lot of things. I've lived out of home since I was 18. I have good friends and family around, but I've had to do a lot of things on my own.
Yeah.
But I also try to do too many things on my own.
You're very good at most. Well, I don't think you've shown me something, told me something that you do that I've not been like, well, that is impressive.
Well, I think the thing is I try a lot of things. I don't always succeed. So the other day in the office, I made scones with our business manager, Daryl. It was like consequence because he ate my croissant. If you listen to Shaylee and Rob, he ate my croissant.
I was there. I saw it happen live.
And so then his consequence was to make some scones with me, and he wore a frilly apron. It was funny. And so I brought it in and we mixed it all up and everything. And then I realized I looked over at my flour container and it said plain flour instead of self-raising flour. And I was like, no, we're about to cook rocks. We were about to cook Rob's version of scones, like heavy brick-like things. No, that's like the American scone. Good scones are meant to be light and fluffy and buttery. And so I had to rush over to the Woolies and get some self-raising flour. So I make a lot of mistakes but I do a lot because I just get it started.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say though, that was like a minor mistake. You cook great food for us all the time. So I don't think that is a reflection of how good you are. It was just one of those days.
Too kind.
You also run your singles events.
Yeah.
Would you say it's a singles events company?
Yes. So it's for Christian singles and the goal is community. So friend community and then hopefully to find someone to fall in love with. And I know a lot of people and I myself am in my mid-40s and haven't yet found someone to marry, and it's hard and the apps suck and you just meet less and less people who are available and, you know, in the right zone and the right space. So so it's called Middle Ground and we've got a really great community of people who come along. We have events almost every 2 weeks in Melbourne, and it's really fun. We're going bowling on the weekend. It's unlimited bowling, you know, who knew? But what I like about bowling as a task is that no one is that good at it.
You finish that and then I'll go.
And if you're really bad, everybody laughs, and if you're really good, everyone's like woohoo. But you can
just
play it either way, and you don't have to be good. It's not requiring that much.
You can chat,
and there's lots of time to chat, especially if you've got like 6 people in the lane, and it's kind of lighthearted and fun, and then you can go home. So we're doing something.
Now that's great in theory, Kate. It's great. I feel like it's great for a group event.
Mm-hmm.
When you go on like a one-on-one date though with a partner who's very good at bowling and is competitive and just makes fun of your lack of skill, that's where I called it quits.
I don't think it should be first date. No.
No.
There shouldn't be competition in first date. That's fourth or fifth, and you see how people cope with loss and disappointment and stress. That's not too bad.
When my husband Toby and I started dating, we would go bowling all the time because
Really?
I would just be like, I know you like bowling. We'll go bowling and I'll take the L and lose. It's fine. But now that we're married, it's a no-go zone because I get so frustrated. I'm like, and I'm competitive. I'm just so bad at it that like there's no world I will ever beat him. And I've given up on it. So that's fine.
No, you got to go in a couple with a friend and you can chat.
I do enjoy it as a group though. Yeah. As a group, you get to giggle and laugh and there's always another person who's not that great. So
that's another thing that I do.
Love it. Well, people can check it out. Maybe I'll chuck it in the description box because then people can have a little suss of it if you're trying to make community and find someone. Check it out. Okay, let's jump into today's words to live by.
All right. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 4. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud.
This verse is one that I would say most people know, even non-Christians. It's one that they've heard and maybe even connect with because they go, that sounds great, doesn't it? That's what love should look like. But it's actually quite opposite to what the world projects love as. I think we were chatting about it off mic. Often in the world, love is, you just have to do everything, or you have to show up for me always, and if you make a mistake then you're cut off. Like there's a real sense that love has conditions, and I don't think anyone would want to articulate it that way, but the attitude and maybe the subtle attitude in our world of love is I love you or you love me, but there's a lot of boundaries and conditions around what that looks like.
Or it's on the other side with it. To love me means you can let me do whatever I want.
Yes.
So it can be that thing of, if you love me you have to do what I want you to do, but you also have to let me do whatever I want to do. It's a funny thing when we really ask ourselves a deep question. But one thing that comes to mind, I heard a church message about it, and it talked about the difference between permissible love and transformational love. And I think the world's definition of love, just let me be whoever you want to be, you do you, whatever, no judgment, like that basically says, hey, I'm going to love you and you can do whatever you want and be whoever you want. But actually true love has boundaries, and true love asks you to grow.
Yes. You make me think of a story that happened the other day. My husband and I had just had a really awkward situation happen, and I had a text from someone and I just was like unsure how to respond. I was probably more furious than I would like to admit at the message that I'd been sent. I was very angry, and I typed up a draft of a message that I thought was quite reasonable. I thought I'd taken out all the frustrations. I had kind of toned it down from what I maybe actually wanted to say. And I was like, I feel like this is direct enough, and I feel like this doesn't, let them walk all over me, but I'm trying to be kind, but I'm also trying to not like let it just be okay. And I said to my husband, I said, can you just read over it? Because I'm so frustrated. I don't know if this is reasonable. And he read over it. And he said such a nice and funny thing to me. My husband looks at me and he goes, Ash, you're a really nice person, and this is not a very nice message. He said, I don't think you should be sending that because that's not who you are. And it's one of those things, right, where it can be easy to be a hype person. It could have been so easy for my husband to be like, you know what? Yeah, that was a really unkind message. That was really unfair. That's a fair response. But instead, because I had read it to someone else and they were kind of like, nah, that's fine. But my husband, knowing who I am, said, you know what, Ash? That's actually not a reflection of who you are. This is a frustration. This isn't the kindness that you want to present to people. And that's what love is, right? He could have egged it on. He could have affirmed me because in some senses he probably thought, there's a level of okay about it. But instead he called me out. He said, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. He reminded me that that's not who I am. Yeah. And then he said, why don't we give it half an hour and then I'll help you write another message. That's just a bit kinder.
And I think maybe for him, I'm maybe putting words in his mouth, but he's thinking about, I know who you are now, but I also know who you want to be in the future. And I know if you send this, the impact in the future, what it could be. So love thinks not just momentarily, it thinks long term. It thinks about the impact and the consequences of my actions. It thinks about the benefits and the drawbacks of what I do here. Not that we can know everything, but it says if I don't do this, what could the benefit to be to someone in the future? Or if I choose to, care in this way, what is the immediate benefit and also what's the long-term benefit? And I think today's world, love is very much about just what I want to do right now. It's not considering who I want to be in the future. It's not considering the possible impact and consequence for myself. It's just like, I just want pleasure now, or I just want to do what I want, or I want to feel happy, or I want to do these things. But true love thinks about the future and it asks us to grow. And I've been doing a bit of songwriting, and that's definitely a line that I'm playing around with. Like, what does it mean that true love asks me to grow? It says you are loved and accepted for who you are, but it also says you can be more than this. I believe in you. You do not have to stay where you are. It doesn't make you say you have to, it's not a hard taskmaster or a, military sergeant saying, hop to, it says, okay, we're going to go through this process, but come along with me, come on that journey. And it's kind of like thinking about a good shepherd doesn't just leave, oh yeah, okay, you've fallen down there. All right, that's where you wanted to go. All right, okay, we'll see you later. No, let's get you up out of that ditch. Come on, let's go together. And it pulls us up out of where we find ourselves and says there's somewhere we've got to go together, and it goes with us.
Yeah. And I love that thought that love will call us deeper. Our relationship with Jesus, even with friends, how good is it to have a good friend that is willing to say, hey, I love you, Kate, but I think this is something you need to work on. Or I didn't love the way that you said this. Like, being loved and experiencing the love that God has for us. I think you said it when we first started. It is transformational. It doesn't just say stay the same. It says you're loved, but it takes that growth that you're talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had a situation in recent months where I've had to really question, what does love look like in this situation, God? How do I manage my own boundaries, my own health? And also caring for someone going through a hard time, but also not be the punching bag for their anxiety. But then how do you love and stay strong? But then, so like I've really been wrestling with this. What does love look like? Where it's loving myself and them at the same time. How do you hold both of those in tension? I might be going through a hard thing, but how do I care for them in their thing? And so I think the best thing in this whole question around learning to love is that we ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
We say, God, what does love look like here? How would you respond? And I think we talked about it ways ago on another time that we're on together, the idea of someone that I was on outreach with in China, and I was like, God, I love her, but I don't like her right now. And he really challenged me. Well, Kate, when was the last time you bought her lunch or did something to serve her? That's what real love looks like in this point. And I was so challenged because she was very difficult. She had a lot of fear. We were doing evangelism in China. It's of course very scary. And I had a lot of pride thinking I'm the one who loves really well because I don't love her, but I don't like her. And God just spoke to the heart of the matter and said, well, you've missed the key thing, which is coming as a servant. My final thought on this is this whole thing for me at the moment is that both matter in this situation. Not one more matters more than the other. And that often happens if maybe we're the carer or the older sister, which I am, or you're the one that maybe is a little bit more level-headed or stable, not going through the hard moment. I can definitely identify with that. It is not proud. I am prideful. I am pride. I have a lot of pride in my life, and a lot of that is because we were talking about that. I do have big capacity. I am able to do a lot of things, and so it can be easy for me to woohoo, look at me and my scones at Rose, But actually, no, I'm not better than the person that I'm asking these questions about. I'm just have different capacities. And so it's allowing the Lord to speak to my heart there, even while I'm wrestling with what are the right boundaries for me in relation to her, to care for her, but also to care for myself.
Yeah, I also think it's quite a good checklist as well as to, are we loving well? Or, when you're kind of wrestling, am I feeling this way because I'm just feeling this way, or is there something behind it? I think if you look at whether it's a friendship or a relationship, or even if it's between you and a parent, whatever it is, if your attitude about it is not patient and it is not kind and it's full of envy and it is boastful and it is proud, it's likely it's going to take you having a heart check before they need to change anything.
Absolutely.
We are so good at pointing the finger at other people. I'm the first person to put my hand up and say, I'm so good at that. And look, and that probably comes from a sense of pride as well, but actually going, I need to work on one of these things first before I can have a conversation. And look, there are times, kind of like what we're saying, love calls you to grow. There are times where you will have conversations with people where they need to grow, or they'll have a conversation with you where you need to grow. But I think first of all, we need to inwardly look at the way that we're loving or even accepting love, and use this as a bit of a checklist, and then working on those things that we feel come up. Because it's easy to point the finger, but actually going, no, how am I going to do it? And I said to you before, Kate, and I'll wrap up the thought with this. Sometimes I ask the Lord, God, what in me offends you right now? And sometimes you can make it very specific, where you could say, Lord, out of patience, kindness, envy, being boastful, or being proud, are any of them a problem in my life? And sit with it. It's uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Because the likelihood is we will struggle with one of them. And then actually going, God, help me. Lord, I'm sorry. Lord, would you help me to walk and get better at doing this and loving people well? None of us are perfect at it. All of us are going to have things to work on. But imagine if as Christians we could become so good at loving other people and loving ourselves the way that God has called us to.
Yeah, it's good, Ash.
We'd be living in a bit of a different space, I think. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the podcast. I hope that it encouraged you, that it's helped you through, and that it helps to challenge you through the season of life that you're facing, uplift you if you're feeling down, and most of all, I pray that you're able to draw closer and closer to God. I'm so excited to keep diving into the Word of God with you. I pray you're able to find moments of joy.